Hey guys, it's Talisha and today I have a vlog for you. So today Jeff and I are competing in our zone dressage and show jumping day. We have show jumping first. A lot of you guys have been wanting me to do show jumping for ages. So we were originally C grade, which is 75 centimeters. Like that's what our grade was for Pony Club, but I since then have graded down to D grade because like she had no issues at C grade or anything, but just because she's an older horse I don't want to be pushing her around 75 centimeters, so this is 60-65 D grade, and that's easy for her, and so it doesn't take anything out of her really. It's not hard on her joints or anything like that. You know, as I said, she had no issues at C grade. I just want to keep her going as long as I possibly can, so we're doing 2 rounds of the D grade, and then I'm also doing the novice 2B and the elementary 3A. So yeah, show jumping's first. Mixed feelings. I haven't done show jumping in so long, so I don't really know how it's gonna go. And my jump saddle, well, it was an all-purpose, doesn't fit her anymore because it's now fitted to Kai. So I will be jumping in my dressage saddle. But before anyone who is uneducated says something about it, I just thought I'd let you know. There are a few people that seem to believe that jumping in a dressage saddle is bad for your horse, which is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Anyway, talk to any saddle fitter and they will tell you that it is not bad. As long as your dressage saddle fits your horse, it's fine. It doesn't cause the horse any issues at all, jumping in a dressage saddle. The only thing it does is put me in a horrible position, so you'll have to put up with my terrible jump position because I'll be in the dressage saddle. But yes, ask any saddle fitter. It will not affect your horse at all. It will not cause issues. If it's a fitting saddle, it's a fitting saddle. That's fine for them to jump in it. It's just putting the rider at a disadvantage. And it's low level, so it's like, it doesn't really matter if it's putting me at a slight disadvantage. But anyway, yeah, I'm gonna go get Jep now. We're ready. What are those ears, Jeppy? Eating away while we wait for our course walk. Ooh. Wow, how weird is this? I'm voicing over a jump round. Wow, haven't done one of these in a while. This is our first jump round. Now, as you can see, my saddle pad was slipping back. I didn't realise it was slipping back in the warm-up, so through this course I slowly lose my saddle pad more and more. It's a new saddle pad from our club and it had nothing to hold it on, but we'll be making adjustments. Now, here's our refusal. Featuring me just hanging on. I went round again. She really didn't want to jump this the second time, but I really just pushed her on and got her over it. Dazzle boards were always her weakness when we were jumping, and to make it an ox, I just put her off even more. But we got over it the second time. Look at the saddle pad, gave her a little pat. The rest of the round was clear. Obviously I don't know, it's all over the place. I don't do show jumping competitively, it's just for fun for Jep, so because she enjoys getting out and doing it occasionally. Look at that saddle pad. We make a little adjustment to keep it on for the rest of the day after this round. I didn't expect it to slip that much, but yeah, so we ended up getting second in this round, which was nice. She jumped that one with a dazzle board, and that was it. Okay, here's our next round, which was our better round out of the 2. She really got into the flow of things at this stage and was, you know, it was just a lot smoother, I found, and a lot easier. So it's optimum time. We were a bit fast on our time, but we did get closest out of everyone in our age group, so we actually won this round because we went clear and our time was the closest to the optimum time. Wasn't spot on, but it wasn't, you know, horrible. So she just rode this round quite nicely. I mean, I'm not looking for anything in show jumping. She's on the wrong lead. Honestly, I didn't even notice when I was riding. I don't know how I didn't. I don't know. I just do show jumping for fun, as I said. I'm not worried about things like that. We're never going to be moving up the heights because it's just not worth it with her being an older pony. She just enjoys doing it at this level, and so do I. Our focus is dressage, and this is just to change it up a little bit. Bad striding, who cares? Doesn't matter. We don't aim to go higher, so whee! Such a dodgy course, I love it. I really couldn't care less what it looks like. Here's our first test of the day. This is the novice 2B. Now, we rushed over from show jumping to this test, and she was kind of like, wow, what's happening? I did find her quite a bit lazy in this test and not responding to my leg, as you can actually see. She does go on the forehand quite a bit throughout this. I feel like this test was very kindly judged, to put it at the least. Our end score for this was a 69%, and in no way did I feel like it was a 69% scoring test. This was far from one of our best tests. I would say it's fairly average, if not below average. So for it to get a score of 69%, which is one of the highest scores we've gotten in this test, was a bit of a shock. I just think that the judges were very polite with the judging. So there was our first leg yield. She kind of lost straightness at the end there. I mean, it's not a horrible test now that I'm looking at it. It always feels horrible, doesn't it, though? It always feels worse than it looks, I guess. Here's our lengthen, first lengthen. You can't really judge much from this angle on a lengthen, can you? She was just on the forehand a lot, which you can tell if you know what being on the forehand is. And here we go for our second leg yield. This one was not as good as the first one. There was a bit of resistance, and I'm pretty sure she stalls at the very end of it, if I remember correctly here. Maybe not. Alright, I don't know what I'm on about. I thought she stalled. But yeah, here we have our walk. Now I sped this up just to make this vlog a little quicker, and it's just a long range walk. I mean, that's it. Yeah. So here we come around for our trot and onto the canter work. Fairly nice transition, and here we have our 15-meter circle. She's on the forehand a bit in the canter there, but it was a fairly accurately ridden circle. Well done, Talisha. There we have our lengthen. Could have shown more lengthen, but there's some there. So we ended up placing second for this test as well, as I said, with 69%. Honestly, watching it back it's not as bad as I thought it was, but I still stick by what I said. It was probably below our average feeling test, just because I was really having to push her on. That was a nice transition though. I was just really having to push her on, and I'm normally not like that in tests. I think show jumping took quite a lot out of her, especially because she doesn't really do the show jumping often, so it's using muscles that she doesn't normally use, using the different fitness. So it was just a hard test to ride, and I felt like I was working double time. But yeah, see, more impulsion was needed in that length and canter. Just all around, picking little things apart, I don't think it deserved that score. At all. I really don't. And she's just on the forehand throughout majority of the test. I don't know why the judge actually didn't mention anything about being on the forehand, which is weird because she was on the forehand quite a lot of the test, and I know that for a fact. So maybe, yeah, I don't know. Anyway, yeah, she was just lazy. I mean, it could have been worse. We'll look at it this way. I just wasn't happy with it. But honestly, am I ever happy with my tests? No, I'm probably happy with my tests a good 1 to 2% of the time. You guys probably get sick of hearing me, horrible halt, sick of hearing me say stuff like this. But yeah, I'm my worst critique. Here's our elementary 3A. Felt a bit more energetic in this. She always has more energy in the 3A, which is strange because it's a harder test. But I feel like because, oh my lord, I was beyond disappointed with this test. I couldn't even tell you how upset I was after this test. I was just like a ball of emotions. On the forehand again. Here we come across for our lengthen. You really can't say much with the lengthen, but you can see a bit of the hock action going. There's a little bit of lengthen, nowhere near what we usually get, unfortunately. I am so disappointed in how I rode this test. I'm so disappointed. I did not set her up for laterals at all. Here's our first shoulder in, and I just kind of threw her in there. It just was not nice. we got the shoulder in towards the end, but Jep is just like, what are you asking me to do, human? Like, you're not setting me up for any of these laterals. I don't understand what you're asking of me. I'm so disappointed in how badly I set her up for all of this. There's our second shoulder in, which was better than the first. But I just felt like I wasn't thinking in this test. I was just riding through it and just hoping that she would get it. But Jep is not that type of horse. She hasn't done all of these things before, so she needs someone to be guiding her and setting her up correctly for the laterals and everything. She's not a horse you can just sit on and be like, oh, do this, and not have to work for it. You really have to work. And I didn't do that. Here's our first walk to canter, which was very nice. Happy with that. I set her up fairly well with that one. There's our lengthen. I was happy with that lengthen as well. And then I bring her back for our 10-meter circle at C. Could have shown more balance. One side was bigger than the other, but it was alright. And here we come across for the counter canter. What is that filming, Kyle? Fairly nice canter, very balanced. She does her counter canters so well now. She's got so much strength in her counter canter. Now here we come along for the ultimate disaster of this test, and it's me trying to get my next walk to canter on her without preparing her at all, and I had her completely bent to the wrong way, so surprise, surprise, she went on the wrong leg. You could see clearly I had her bent towards the right, so she didn't do anything wrong. She did what she thought I was asking her to do. So thanks, Jep. Well done, Jep, for listening to me. It's a shame that your rider couldn't actually give you the correct aids and set you up correctly. Yeah, I just let her down in this test. She tried a little hard out. She did everything she could with what I gave her. So I'm very proud of her in that fact. She did everything I asked her to do. I just was not setting her up correctly and well enough and thinking through the test like I usually do. I normally think about everything I do, but I really didn't in this test. I don't know what was going through my head. And here we come for our last walk to canter, and we get it clean because I kind of kicked myself and I was like, Talisha, what was that? Like, what? So we got a 61 for this test, which, yeah, I mean, I think the 61 was deserved. It was definitely didn't deserve a higher mark. I think a 61 was valued. Different judge compared to the other test. I do agree with the marks on this one. I think they were deserved. That was a nice lengthen as well. And here we come back for the final centre line. Horribly ridden corner. And final halt. I don't remember what this halt was like. Nope. Crooked. Oh, but you fixed it. Yep, fixed it. Okay guys, so it is actually the next day. I realised I never ended the vlog. I had a little moment after my elementary test of just disappointment. That moment I was lucky that it didn't last long. Like, after what I feel is a bad test, I normally am quite disappointed, and it can usually last for at least a couple hours. Really depends on the test itself, etc. But it was strange. Like, normally I would be disappointed for, as I said, a couple hours or more, but I was able to get over it from the time I got out of the arena and got back to the float and got off, which is strange. It's never something I've been able to do. It's something I've been trying to do for ages though, and just let it go quick. And I was quite proud of myself with how I went yesterday, handling it all. So as I said, as soon as I got back to the float, I got off Jet, I started taking off her bridle, and then it just went. I didn't necessarily do anything to get over it, apart from just think, like, I don't know, I didn't even try to convince myself otherwise that it was good. I just let myself kind of live in that self-pity for that short amount of time, and then I was over it. I don't know how, honestly, but yeah. So I would have spoken about all my places throughout the videos, and percentages, etc. I'm not happy with either test. I think the 69% in the novice was not deserved. It didn't feel like a 69% test to me, and I don't believe it was. I think the 61% in the elementary was warranted. I think that was a fair mark. I think it was fairly judged with everything that did go wrong in my test. But we hadn't been focusing on elementary much recently because we were doing a lot of prelim novice stuff, and there's no other excuse apart from the fact that I didn't ride it as well as I usually do, especially the elementary. The novice, she was just lacking impulsion and energy because she'd come out of 2 show jump rounds and went straight into her first dressage test. So that one wasn't necessarily because of my riding, it was just she was tired, which is why she went on the forehand quite a bit throughout that test. Where the elementary, it had enough energy, it felt good. She always has more energy for the elementary. I think me being in sit trot pushes her forward more. I'm not 100% sure, but I just didn't set her up at all, honestly. And the more I haven't actually watched the test yet, so you're listening to this when I haven't even watched the test, but the more I think about it, the more I realise how I just didn't set her up for the laterals at all, really. The first shoulder in, I just didn't prepare her at all, so she thought I was asking her to go across the diagonal at first. Second shoulder in was better. The lengthens weren't too bad. The rein back felt okay, not sure how it looked, but that second walk to canter, just I didn't help her at all, and I just pretty much threw her in there. Like I just didn't help her at all in that second walk to canter, which is why we got the wrong leg, because of me. Jep is not a horse that can do a lateral without being prepared and set up for it properly. She does her laterals beautifully when I prepare her and help her as much as I can, but I didn't do that. I just threw her in the deep end and didn't prepare her going into the laterals when I should have. And she's not a horse that I can just expect will know it without me asking her to. She's not, she needs that assistance. So I let her down a lot in that elementary test, but I'm hoping we'll make it up in our next comp. Yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed that vlog, and I'll see you guys next week.